20. Famous black celebrities who kept their sexuality a secret until death. Then and now, 2025. Welcome to Legends of Black Excellence. Today we're diving into the hidden lives of some of the most influential black icons who kept their sexuality a secret until their deaths. From legendary performers like Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, to groundbreaking politicians like Barbara Jordan and activists like Bayard Rustin, these figures navigated a world that wasn't ready for their truth. But their legacies transcend the secrets they kept. Prepare to be shocked by the untold stories of resilience, courage, and hidden identities. Hit that like button, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments below. Billy Strayhorn. Billy Strayhorn was a pioneering composer, pianist, and arranger whose work continues to shape jazz music today. Born in 1915 in Dayton, Ohio, Strayhorn became one of the most influential figures in the world of jazz, especially through his collaborations with Duke Ellington. At just 23 years old, Strayhorn became a key member of Ellington's band, composing iconic pieces such as Take the A Train, which became Ellington's signature tune. His music was marked by its complexity, emotional depth, and sophisticated harmonic structures, making him a genius of the genre, though not always given the credit he deserved during his lifetime. Strayhorn's personal life, however, was marked by secrecy. At a time when homosexuality was not only socially taboo, but also potentially damaging to a career, Strayhorn kept his sexual orientation private. While those close to him knew of his relationships with men, he chose to maintain a carefully guarded public image. His decision to keep this aspect of his life under wraps was likely a reflection of the harsh realities many LGBTQ+ people faced in the entertainment industry during the mid-20th century. Strayhorn's struggles with his identity were compounded by his battle with esophageal cancer, which eventually claimed his life in 1967 at the age of 51. Despite the secrecy surrounding his sexual orientation, Strayhorn's musical legacy remains undeniably influential. He helped define the sound of Ellington's orchestra and contributed timeless compositions that have remained integral to the jazz repertoire. Though his private life was often overshadowed by his public genius, Strayhorn is now remembered as a trailblazer for both his musical brilliance and his quiet courage in navigating the challenges of being a closeted LGBTQ+ artist during his era. Sherman Hemsley. Sherman Hemsley was a beloved actor best known for his iconic role as George Jefferson on the groundbreaking television sitcom The Jeffersons. Born in 1938 in Philadelphia, Hemsley rose to fame in the 1970s and 1980s as the sardonic and ambitious George, an African-American businessman who moved from the projects to a posh, upper-class neighborhood. His performance in The Jeffersons earned him a dedicated fan base and established him as one of television's most memorable characters. Off-screen, however, Hemsley was a private man. Despite his fame, he rarely discussed his personal life, especially his sexuality. Rumors about his sexual orientation swirled over the years, but Hemsley remained silent on the matter throughout his life. It was only after his death in 2012 that some of the truth behind his private life was revealed. His close friend and co-star Garrett Morris disclosed that Sherman Hemsley was gay, explaining that Hemsley had always kept his sexual orientation private to avoid potential backlash, especially in the conservative era when he rose to prominence. Hemsley's silence about his sexuality was reflective of the struggles faced by many African-American LGBTQ+ individuals, particularly those in the entertainment industry. Despite this, Hemsley left behind a rich legacy not only in television, but also as a symbol of resilience in the face of societal pressures. His career remains an important part of television history, and his ability to perform authentically on screen while privately navigating his own identity continues to resonate with fans around the world. Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker was an international sensation, a legendary entertainer whose career and activism broke racial barriers and changed the landscape of both art and society. Born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1906, Baker overcame a challenging childhood of poverty and racism. She moved to Paris in the 1920s, where she quickly became one of the most beloved and successful performers of her time. Her breakout performance at the Folies Bergère, as well as her iconic dance to the Banana Dance, captured the imagination of European audiences and cemented her as a star. Beyond her artistic talent, Baker became a trailblazer for racial equality and LGBTQ+ representation. Her outspoken stance on civil rights led her to become involved in political activism, and during World War II, she served as a spy for the French resistance, using her fame to gather vital intelligence against the Nazis. After the war, she continued her fight for equality and refused to perform for segregated audiences in the United States. Despite her public persona, much of her personal life remained hidden. Baker was married several times and adopted 12 children, creating a rainbow tribe as a symbol of racial unity. She also had relationships with several women, including a rumored affair with the famous painter Frida Kahlo. However, these aspects of her life were kept private to protect her career and reputation, as coming out in the public eye during her time could have tarnished her image. Baker died in 1975, but her legacy lives on, not only through her music and groundbreaking performances, but also as a fierce advocate for civil rights and LGBTQ+ acceptance. Baker's courage to live authentically, even if privately, has inspired generations of artists and activists, and she remains an enduring figure in both the LGBTQ+ and Black cultural communities. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was an unapologetic comedy legend whose groundbreaking approach to stand-up comedy and acting revolutionized the entertainment industry. Born in 1940 in Peoria, Illinois, Pryor grew up in a turbulent environment which included being raised in a brothel by his grandmother and witnessing intense familial struggles. These early experiences deeply shaped his comedic voice, which became known for its raw, unfiltered honesty, addressing issues such as race, poverty, addiction, and personal trauma. Pryor's comedy was a blend of humor and brutal truth, with his willingness to tackle taboo subjects head-on, making him a cultural trailblazer. Throughout his career, Richard Pryor broke barriers not only in comedy, but also in film and television. He became one of the first African-American comedians to have a major impact in Hollywood, starring in successful films such as Silver Streak, Stir Crazy, and The Toy. His stand-up albums, such as Is It Something I Said and Live on the Sunset Strip, are considered among the greatest comedy albums of all time. Despite his immense success, Pryor's personal life remained a subject of curiosity and speculation. Although he married several women, it was revealed after his death in 2005 that Pryor had also been involved in relationships with men. His sexual orientation remained a secret during his life, largely due to the homophobic and racially charged climate of the time. Pryor's comedy hinted at these relationships, but it wasn't until after his death that these aspects of his personal life came to light. Pryor's courage to explore and confront the complexities of his own identity through humor, despite societal pressures, has had a profound influence on comedy and on the African-American community. He is remembered as a trailblazer who not only broke barriers, but also challenged his audience to think critically about the world around them. Moms Mabley. Moms Mabley, born Loretta Mary Aiken in 1894 in Brevard, North Carolina, was one of the pioneering figures in comedy, breaking barriers for both women and African Americans in the entertainment industry. Mabley's career spanned over 5 decades, and she became one of the first Black women to perform stand-up comedy on a major national stage. She made her mark in the 1920s vaudeville circuit, earning a reputation for her sharp wit, distinctive voice, and ability to address racial and social issues with humor that resonated with a wide audience. As one of the few women in a male-dominated comedy scene, Mabley's humor was often characterized by its boldness and satire. She tackled subjects such as race relations, the hardships of Black life, and the hypocrisy of society, often using her signature persona of the old, wise woman to convey her messages in a manner that was both disarming and enlightening. Her appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show in the 1960s helped introduce her to mainstream audiences, and she soon became a beloved figure in American comedy. Moms Mabley was also an early trailblazer for LGBTQ+ representation, although her sexuality remained a well-kept secret throughout her life. Rumors about Mabley's romantic relationships with women were common, but she never openly identified as gay or bisexual during her lifetime. At a time when being openly queer, especially for Black women, was both controversial and dangerous, Mabley chose to maintain her privacy. She used her position in comedy to subtly challenge social norms, creating space for more inclusive discussions of sexuality, identity, and personal freedom, even as she remained silent about her own truth. Despite the secrecy surrounding her sexuality, Mabley's work continues to inspire comedians, particularly women and LGBTQ+ individuals, who see in her a pioneering figure who dared to challenge the limits of comedy and society. She passed away in 1975, leaving a lasting legacy not only in the world of comedy, but also in the ongoing fight for social justice and LGBTQ+ visibility. Little Richard. Little Richard, born Richard Wayne Penniman in 1932 in Macon, Georgia, was a groundbreaking figure in the world of rock and roll and is often referred to as the architect of rock. With his flamboyant style, energetic performances, and dynamic musical talent, Little Richard redefined the boundaries of music, paving the way for future generations of artists. Hits like Tutti Frutti Long, Tall Sally, and Good Golly Miss Molly became anthems, and his influence on the genre cannot be overstated. His wild piano-playing, powerful voice, and unrelenting stage presence made him a larger-than-life figure in the 1950s and beyond. While Little Richard was celebrated for his contributions to rock and roll, his personal life was marked by complexity and secrecy. As one of the first openly flamboyant African-American performers in a deeply conservative society, Little Richard's sexuality was a topic of speculation throughout his career. He was openly bisexual at various points in his life, having been involved with both men and women, but his sexual orientation was kept relatively private. In a time when coming out was not only stigmatized, but also career-threatening. Richard made efforts to conceal his true feelings from the public, fearing the backlash it would bring to his career. It wasn't until later in his life, particularly after his return to the stage following a break to focus on his religious faith, that Little Richard more openly acknowledged his sexuality. Despite this, he remained a trailblazer for LGBTQ+ representation in music. Little Richard's boundary-pushing style and unapologetic self-expression made him a cultural icon, and his music continues to influence artists across genres. He passed away in 2020, but his legacy lives on not only through his timeless music, but also as a pioneering force in the fight for LGBTQ+ visibility in the entertainment industry. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross was an iconic R&B singer whose velvety smooth voice and romantic ballads earned him a devoted following and a place among the greatest vocalists in music history. Born in 1951 in New York City, Vandross developed a love for music at an early age and became a session singer, lending his voice to numerous tracks before gaining fame as a solo artist. With hits like Never Too Much Dance with My Father and A House Is Not a Home, Vandross captured the hearts of millions with his deep, soulful voice and emotionally charged performances. His smooth, sophisticated sound became synonymous with love songs and ballads. Despite his massive success and being adored by fans, Vandross maintained a private personal life, particularly when it came to his sexuality. For much of his career, there was speculation about his sexual orientation, though he never publicly came out. In the highly conservative music industry, where LGBTQ+ issues were often swept under the rug, Vandross kept his private life hidden, worried that coming out might alienate his predominantly female fan base. He was also known to be deeply protective of his mother, who he feared would be hurt by public knowledge of his sexuality. It wasn't until after his death in 2005, following a stroke that left him in a coma for several years, that more about his personal life became known. Close friends, including singer Patti LaBelle, revealed that Vandross had struggled with his identity in the public eye. His decision to keep his sexual orientation private likely stemmed from a combination of societal pressures, the fear of losing his career, and the stigma surrounding LGBTQ+ identities in the Black community at the time. Despite these challenges, Luther Vandross remains one of the most influential figures in R&B, leaving behind a legacy that transcends his personal struggles. His music continues to resonate with audiences around the world, celebrated for its emotional depth and timeless quality. His story, while marked by secrecy, also highlights the larger cultural shift toward acceptance and visibility for LGBTQ+ individuals in the entertainment industry. Sylvester James Jr. Sylvester James Jr., known simply as Sylvester, was an iconic figure in the disco and LGBTQ+ music scene. Born in 1947 in Los Angeles, California, Sylvester became a leading voice of the disco era and is often remembered as one of the first openly gay Black performers to achieve mainstream success. His powerful falsetto and bold performances captured the hearts of audiences with hit songs like You Make Me Feel Mighty Real and Dance Disco Heat. These songs not only defined an era, but also became anthems for the LGBTQ+ community. Sylvester's music was revolutionary, combining elements of disco soul and dance, and his stage presence was unmatched. He performed with both abandon and grace, often wearing flamboyant costumes that reflected his unapologetic individuality. However, his personal life, particularly his sexual orientation, remained a source of tension throughout his career. Despite his open embrace of his queerness in his music, Sylvester maintained a certain level of privacy regarding his relationships. He was part of the LGBTQ+ movement, but there was always a tension between his desire to be authentically himself and the need to protect his career. Sylvester's battles with identity and fame were intensified by the stigma surrounding being both Black and gay in the 1970s and 1980s. In the early years of his career, the world was not yet ready to fully accept his unflinching authenticity. Although he faced considerable challenges, especially during the AIDS epidemic, his impact as an LGBTQ+ icon was immeasurable. Diagnosed with HIV, Sylvester died in 1988 at the age of 41, but his legacy as a trailblazer for both Black and queer culture remains powerful. His music and courage continue to inspire those who seek freedom and self-expression. Nell Carter. Nell Carter was a trailblazing actress and singer best known for her role as the housekeeper on the popular sitcom Give Me a Break. Born in 1948 in Birmingham, Alabama, Carter had a tumultuous childhood marked by personal struggles and challenges. Despite these obstacles, she rose to prominence in the entertainment world, earning a Tony Award for her performance in the Broadway musical Ain't Misbehavin'. Her vocal talents and engaging personality made her one of the most beloved figures on television during the 1980s, and her role as the lovable, sassy housekeeper on Give Me a Break made her an iconic character in American television. While Carter's public persona was larger than life, she kept many aspects of her personal life private. Though she had 2 failed marriages and adopted 3 children, it wasn't until after her death in 2003 that the full extent of her personal relationships was revealed. Carter had a long-term partner, Anne, whom she had lived with for years in Beverly Hills. Their relationship, however, remained private and out of the public eye until Carter's passing. After her death, it was disclosed that she had left her entire estate to Anne and appointed her as the guardian of her children, signaling the depth of their bond. Despite the secrecy surrounding her romantic life, Carter's work as a trailblazer for both African American women and LGBTQ+ individuals remains significant. Her career, which spanned television, theater, and music, was marked by her fierce determination and her ability to break through barriers. Carter's legacy as an entertainer who brought both joy and change to the industry continues to inspire, particularly for those who, like her, faced the complexities of balancing fame with personal identity. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was one of the most iconic and celebrated singers of all time, known for her powerful voice and timeless hits. Born in 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, Houston's rise to fame was nothing short of extraordinary. Her debut album in 1985 became the best-selling debut album by a female artist, and she soon became a global sensation with hits like I Will Always Love You and Greatest Love of All. With over 200 million records sold worldwide, 6 Grammy Awards, and a string of chart-topping singles, Houston became a defining voice of pop and R&B music. However, Houston's life was also marked by personal struggles, including a long battle with addiction and a tumultuous relationship with her ex-husband, Bobby Brown. While Houston's career and public persona were well documented, one aspect of her life remained largely private: her romantic relationship with her longtime friend Robin Crawford. Although their close bond was known, it wasn't until 2019, after Houston's death in 2012, that Crawford revealed in her memoir that their relationship had been romantic in nature. For much of her career, Houston kept her sexuality private, largely due to societal pressures, her religious background, and the intense scrutiny of the media. The revelation of her relationship with Crawford shed new light on the complexities of Houston's life, especially as a woman of color in the entertainment industry. Despite the challenges, Houston's music and legacy remain unshaken, and her story continues to inspire generations not just for her musical genius, but for the courage to navigate personal and public battles in an often unforgiving world. James Baldwin. James Baldwin was a pioneering writer, social critic, and activist whose works on race, sexuality, and identity continue to influence literature and social discourse today. Born in 1924 in Harlem, New York, Baldwin rose to prominence in the 1950s with the publication of his novels Go Tell It on the Mountain and Giovanni's Room. He was known for his eloquent and unapologetic exploration of the complexities of race and sexuality in America, a theme that resonated with readers of all backgrounds. Baldwin's writing often grappled with the intersection of racial and sexual identity, reflecting his own struggles with being black and gay in a society that was hostile to both. Although Baldwin never publicly discussed his sexual orientation during his lifetime, his works, especially Giovanni's Room, which focused on a love affair between two men, offered a powerful window into his personal struggles. Baldwin left the United States in the 1940s and moved to Paris, seeking a space where he could live more freely and explore these themes without the constant pressure of American racism and homophobia. Though Baldwin's sexuality remained private during much of his life, he became a symbol of intellectual and artistic freedom. His works, including The Fire Next Time and Notes of a Native Son, continue to be vital pieces of American literature, urging readers to confront the uncomfortable truths of inequality and injustice. Baldwin died in 1987, but his legacy as both a writer and an advocate for civil rights and LGBTQ+ acceptance continues to resonate deeply in today's conversations on race, gender, and sexuality. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, known as Lady Day, was one of the most influential jazz and blues singers in history, famous for her unique voice and emotionally charged performances. Born in 1915 in Philadelphia, Holiday's early life was filled with hardship, including poverty, abuse, and a troubled upbringing. Despite these challenges, she became one of the most important figures in 20th century music with songs like Strange Fruit, God Bless the Child, and Lady Sings the Blues, capturing the pain and beauty of the human experience. Holiday's personal life was filled with turmoil, including battles with addiction and tumultuous relationships with men. Although she never openly discussed her sexuality, there were rumors about her romantic involvement with both men and women. In a time when such relationships could lead to professional and social ostracism, Holiday's personal life remained largely private, yet was often the subject of speculation. In particular, her relationship with actress Tallulah Bankhead was rumored to be romantic, though it was never publicly confirmed. Her struggles with addiction, abusive relationships, and systemic racism were well documented, and they colored both her music and her legacy. Holiday's 1939 recording of Strange Fruit, a haunting protest against lynching, became one of the most powerful political songs in American music history. Despite her struggles, she maintained a raw and powerful connection with her audience through her songs, which continue to resonate decades after her death from cirrhosis of the liver in 1959 at the age of 44. Billie Holiday's life and music remain a testament to the complexities of race, gender, and identity, and her ability to translate her pain into music has made her an enduring symbol of resilience and artistic expression. Her sexuality, often hidden in a time of widespread prejudice, reflects the broader struggles of LGBTQ+ individuals in the entertainment industry and the societal pressures they faced to conform. Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield was an acclaimed actor whose career spanned across television, film, and stage. Born in 1939 in San Francisco, California, Winfield became a powerful figure in the entertainment world, earning recognition for his versatile roles in both dramas and comedies. He is perhaps best known for his Oscar-nominated performance in Sounder 1972, where he portrayed Nathan Lee Morgan, a role that earned him critical acclaim and helped pave the way for more African-American actors in leading roles in Hollywood. His career also included notable work in television, where he played Martin Luther King Jr. in the miniseries King 1978 and appeared in films like The Terminator 1984 and The Marlboro Man 1990. While his professional life was publicly successful, Winfield's personal life remained largely private, particularly regarding his sexual orientation. At a time when homosexuality was not widely accepted, especially in the entertainment industry, Winfield kept his identity hidden from the public. He once pretended to be in a romantic relationship with his Sounder co-star, Cicely Tyson, to silence speculation about his sexuality. This act of secrecy reflects the pressures faced by LGBTQ+ individuals, particularly black men, in an era when coming out could seriously jeopardize their careers. Though Winfield kept his sexuality private during his lifetime, it became known after his death that he had been in a long-term relationship with architect Charles Gillen Jr. Their partnership was kept discreet, and Winfield's passing in 2004 was marked by a loss, not just for the acting world but for the LGBTQ+ community as well. Winfield's legacy continues to inspire through his acting prowess and the quiet strength he displayed in navigating both personal and professional challenges in an industry that wasn't always kind to those who were different. Octavia Butler. Octavia Butler was a groundbreaking science fiction writer known for her ability to merge speculative fiction with deep explorations of race, gender, and power. Born in 1947 in Pasadena, California, Butler faced many challenges growing up as a black woman in a genre that was predominantly white and male. Yet she broke barriers to become one of the most revered figures in science fiction. Her works such as Kindred, 1979, Parable of the Sower, 1993, and Fledgling, 2005, not only captivated audiences with their intricate plots and imaginative settings, but also used the genre to confront societal issues related to race, sexuality, and inequality. Butler's writing often centered on marginalized characters and their struggles for survival, identity, and empowerment. While she was openly vocal about her commitment to writing stories that challenged traditional narratives, Butler's own personal life remained largely private. Despite her success in a genre that often sidelined women of color, there were rumors and speculations about her sexuality, but she never publicly identified as LGBTQ+. Many believed that she may have been a lesbian, though Butler herself did not discuss her personal life in detail, preferring to focus on her writing. Her works, however, reflected a deep understanding of human complexity and identity. Butler's willingness to explore themes of self-discovery, power dynamics, and societal expectations in her writing has left an indelible mark on both science fiction and social commentary. Butler passed away in 2006, but her influence continues to resonate through the generations of readers and writers she inspired. She remains an icon not just for her literary achievements, but also as a trailblazer for women and black authors in speculative fiction, subtly challenging the norms of race and gender, even as she kept aspects of her own identity private. Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman was a gifted R&B and jazz singer whose powerful, soulful voice made her one of the most respected vocalists in the music industry. Born in 1949 in Philadelphia, Hyman began her career in the early 1970s, becoming known for her rich contralto voice and ability to convey deep emotion through her music. Hits like "You Know How to Love Me," "Living All Alone and Don't Want to Change the World" made her a star, earning her a loyal fan base and widespread recognition within the music industry. Her music often reflected themes of love, heartbreak, and personal struggle, resonating with listeners who found solace in her candid emotional expression. However, despite her success, Hyman's personal life was fraught with challenges. She struggled with bipolar disorder, depression, and addiction issues she often opened up about in interviews. Yet there was another part of Hyman's life that remained private until after her death, her relationships with both men and women. Though she never publicly identified as bisexual, it was revealed after her passing in 1995 that Hyman had been involved in a long-term romantic relationship with musician Tina Clark. The details of her bisexuality came to light through interviews with close friends and family after her death. Hyman's decision to keep this aspect of her personal life private is not uncommon in an industry where LGBTQ+ identities, particularly for Black women, were often hidden for fear of alienating fans or jeopardizing careers. Despite the struggles she faced both in her personal life and with the music industry's pressures, Phyllis Hyman's legacy continues through her music and the way she used her voice to express the complexities of life and love. Her death at the age of 45 was a tragic loss to the music world, but her voice remains immortal, echoing the themes of strength, vulnerability, and authenticity she embodied. Barbara Jordan. Barbara Jordan was a towering figure in American politics, renowned for her eloquent speeches and her historic role as the first African-American woman elected to the Texas State Senate. Born in 1936 in Houston, Texas, Jordan overcame the racial and gender barriers of her time to become a symbol of leadership and integrity. She was also the first African-American woman to serve as a U.S. Congresswoman from Texas, where she represented the 18th Congressional District from 1973 to 1979. Jordan was a powerful advocate for civil rights, and her 1974 speech at the Watergate hearings, in which she called for the impeachment of President Nixon, solidified her as one of the most compelling voices of the 20th century. Despite her public success, Jordan's personal life remained largely private. Although she never publicly discussed her sexual orientation, many close to her speculated that she was a lesbian, as she never married, and was known to have had a close, long-term relationship with a woman. However, Jordan's sexuality was not a subject of discussion during her lifetime, as she preferred to focus on her political career and the issues that defined her legacy, such as equality and justice. She passed away in 1996 from leukemia, but her legacy continues to inspire, particularly for Black women in politics who look to her as a trailblazer. Jordan's career was a testament to resilience and leadership, but her private life remains a reminder of the complexities many public figures, particularly Black women, face in balancing personal identity with professional expectations. Barbara Jordan's powerful oratory and political courage continue to make her a role model for future generations. Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin was one of the most influential figures in the civil rights movement, though his contributions were often overshadowed by others. Born in 1912 in West Chester, Pennsylvania, Rustin was a strategic and intellectual force behind some of the most pivotal moments in the fight for racial equality. He served as an advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was instrumental in organizing the 1963 March on Washington, where Dr. King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Rustin's work extended beyond the civil rights movement, as he also advocated for labor rights and gay rights, making him a pioneering figure in both racial and LGBTQ+ advocacy. However, Rustin's life was not without challenges. He was openly gay at a time when being queer was taboo, especially within the African American community. His sexual orientation made him a target for public scrutiny, and he was often forced to remain in the shadows, his work sidelined or overshadowed by his personal life. Despite these challenges, Rustin never wavered in his commitment to justice and equality. His ability to navigate the intersections of race and sexuality, despite societal pressure, set him apart as an extraordinary leader in the fight for both racial and LGBTQ+ rights. Rustin passed away in 1987, but his legacy as a tireless advocate for civil rights as well as his groundbreaking role in advancing LGBTQ+ rights continues to inspire. He was a quiet trailblazer whose life reminds us that true leadership often comes from those who are unafraid to live their truth, no matter the cost. Ma Rainey, known as the Mother of the Blues, was one of the most influential musicians in the history of American music. Born Gertrude Pridgett in 1886 in Columbus, Georgia, she became one of the first black women to record and release blues music. With a career that spanned from the 1920s to the 1930s, Rainey's rich, powerful voice and her distinctive style helped shape the sound of the blues, influencing future generations of musicians. Known for songs like C.C. Rider Blues and Boll Weevil Blues, Rainey was celebrated for her unapologetic performances and her ability to capture the struggles and joys of life. While Rainey's public persona was larger than life, much of her personal life was kept private, including her relationships with women. During her career, she openly expressed her relationships with women in her music, a bold act for the time. Although she was married to a man for most of her life, Rainey's personal relationships with women were often hidden from the public, as was the case for many artists of her era. Despite this, her music became an expression of freedom and defiance, and she became a role model for future generations of LGBTQ+ artists. Ma Rainey died in 1939, but her contributions to music remain monumental. Her legacy as a pioneering woman in the blues and as a figure who broke social and musical barriers continues to inspire. She was not only a powerful artist, but also a symbol of defiance and resilience, living a life true to herself at a time when society did not readily accept women, especially black women, or openly queer figures. Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith, known as the Empress of the Blues, was one of the most influential figures in early jazz and blues music. Born in 1894 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Smith overcame immense hardships early in life to become one of the highest-paid black performers of her time. With her powerful voice and emotional depth, she became a beloved icon of the jazz and blues world. Songs like Downhearted Blues and Nobody Knows You, When You're Down and Out became timeless classics, cementing her place in music history. Smith's ability to connect with audiences through her raw emotional expression made her an enduring figure in the world of music. Although Smith's music was often centered on themes of heartbreak and longing, she also lived a life filled with personal complexities, including her relationships with both men and women. It was known that Smith had romantic relationships with women, but this aspect of her life was largely kept private during her career due to the stigma surrounding same-sex relationships in the early 20th century. Her openness in her music about the pains and struggles of life, however, made her a symbol of strength and resilience. Smith's life was tragically cut short in 1937 when she died in a car accident at the age of 43. However, her impact on music and her role as a pioneering woman in the male-dominated music industry continues to resonate. Bessie Smith's legacy remains a testament to her musical brilliance and her quiet defiance in living her truth despite the societal pressures of her time. From the groundbreaking contributions of Barbara Jordan to the trailblazing activism of Bayard Rustin, these legends have shaped history in ways that resonate to this day. Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, pioneers of the blues, used their voices not just to entertain, but to express defiance and truth both musically and personally. As we reflect on the legacies of these extraordinary figures, it's clear that their lives were more than just their public accomplishments. They navigated the complexities of identity and expression in a world that wasn't always ready to accept them. What impact do you think their hidden truths have had on the way we view legacy today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more stories of resilience and greatness.